Hello and welcome to episode 42 of Game Patrol. I'm your host, Landon Plumley, and joining me this week, we've got our usual Trace Griffiths. How's it going, buddy?
Hi.
He doesn't have a face this week because he got a concussion riding animals. And now we've got our returning Ginger Champion boy. It's Justin Gephardt. How's it going, buddy?
Hello.
Hi.
Life is crazy, but happy to be back.
Life is most certainly crazy. But, yeah, we're going to talk about some video games today. And first and foremost, celebratory congratulations are in order because Bethesda and Xbox are officially one single entity. Xbox has now merged with ZeniMax. They now own all of their studios, and I think they had created a new company called Vault to handle the merger. I don't know if it was just for that merger or if it's, if this Vault is going to become like the Bethesda entity now. But either way, Microsoft owns Bethesda. And so let's talk about now what. Because we got a smidgen more information now that they've officially acquired them, and so, we can talk a little bit about exclusivity, make some more predictions about what to come, all this fun stuff. Justin, I know you're my fellow Bethesda player because Trace literally doesn't do anything, and so I'm excited to have you on to talk
I don't
about this.
do anything? That's sad. Wow.
It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. And so
you know what? I understand.
Yeah. And so, first off, in terms of the exclusivity, right, we got a statement, which I thought about pulling up, and I'm like, I don't need to pull it up. And then when we got to it, I realized, it would probably be a really good idea to pull it up. And so, right now, so they basically said, and I believe it was Phil Spencer who mentioned this, but he said that they are excited to have, and I'm paraphrasing here, all of the Xbox or all of the Bethesda games under Xbox Studios, and basically have it be the best place to play. And so that right off the bat, saying the best place to play instead of the only place to play. And then they further reiterated, and this is where I want to have it. And so they said something along the lines of some games will be exclusive to Xbox and PC, where there was like, we're excited about the future and all of the games coming, some of which will be exclusive to the Xbox and PC platforms. And so that basically confirms that, some of these games are coming to PlayStation as well, which we could even take as, them referencing Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, the games that have confirmed, PlayStation 5 timed exclusivity. So, it could be he's just referencing that, and, everything else is coming, Xbox exclusive. But, I think it more so means what we've kind of been predicting, that either like Starfield and Elder Scrolls and the big Bethesda games are multi-platform and the smaller ones are exclusive, or the opposite, where Starfield and Elder Scrolls are exclusive and the Dooms and Wolfensteins and all that are multi-platform. And, we don't know. But not every single game is going to be exclusive to Xbox. He confirmed that today. We'll still find out more about that, when we go further down the line. It's been a while since we talked about this, but Justin, what are your thoughts? What are your guesses as far as exclusivity goes?
I mean, I think they would be, like, from a business side, I think they'd be dumb not to make exclusivities. And honestly, like, I wouldn't be upset about it because, I mean, there are already a bunch of Xbox games that I can't play because I'm a PlayStation player. It might be the push for me to also get an Xbox, if especially I'm excited for both Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. So if those were to be like Xbox exclusives, I'd be pretty upset, and honestly would be tempted to get an Xbox just for those two games.
Well, to allay your fears, they have already confirmed that, Deathloop and Ghostwire are going to keep their exclusivity deals with PlayStation. They aren't getting rid of that. So yeah, those will be PlayStation games. But yeah, after that, we don't know. And the big thing, the big question is Starfield, because it's a game that everybody's kind of expecting to come this year. They still haven't said anything, but Bethesda's also notorious for never talking about a game and then being like, hey, here it is, it comes out in 2 months. So, it could very well be coming out this year. If not this year, then next year, I feel like, at the latest. It's been in development forever now. And so it's coming soon. And, a lot of people, and I agree with them, think that Starfield is basically going to be, when we figure this out, it will set the tone for exclusivity in the future. If Starfield is exclusive, then, that's it. Like, they're going to be, that's it. They're going all in exclusive. If it's not, then it's like, okay, so the big ones are going to be for everybody, because, I mean, when you think about it, because it's, on one hand, you keep these things like Starfield and Elder Scrolls exclusive, and you're going to drive a lot of console sales or a lot of ecosystem sales, specifically Game Pass, right? Because it'll be day one on Game Pass. But you're also losing potentially 100 million copies, because GTA 5 sold 100 million copies on PS4. And who knows how much, you have like all these on, on Xbox and all these other, it's a multi-platform game, but just on one system it sold over 100 million copies. And you're potentially losing that, what would it be, 600, I'm not doing the math right, it'd be 6 million, or 6 billion, right? Yeah, $6 billion of revenue off of that. You're missing $6 billion of revenue if you don't port it over the system. Potentially, that's not confirmed. And so, whichever number is higher, right? Whereas you look at smaller games like Doom and Wolfenstein, you're not going to make that much off of them, most likely, if you were to port it over to a system. Whereas if it's a really, really good game, you could possibly drive console sales, but also you could drive a lot more console sales if you were to make Starfield and Elder Scrolls exclusive. So I don't think there's a lose in this situation. I think they'll benefit from both. And like I said, we've talked about this before, but $7.5 billion is a lot of money to drop. So
yeah, I mean, really the only backlash they would get is what Xbox players get now. Like, you're gonna get a let's say they release a big exclusive game, all the PlayStation players, everybody's gonna get upset. But nowadays, when it's reversed, Horizon Zero Dawn, when that released, they were Xbox players saying, "Oh, that looks like a good game. Why is it not on Xbox?" And people on PlayStation going, "Just buy a PlayStation if you want to play it." So, I really don't think Xbox is going to suffer too much from any exclusives.
Yeah, for sure. And and don't even, you reminded me with the Zero Dawn stuff. Don't even get me started on PlayStation gatekeeping with all this, all the PC ports. How pissed off PlayStation. As much as I honestly hate to say it, I have converted to the PlayStation side with the PS5, and I will never, ever say it's a bad thing for a PlayStation game to come to PC. That just means more people get to play it. But goddamn, PlayStation players are so pissed that Days Gone and Horizon and Death Stranding are coming to PC. Why? It doesn't affect you in any way. It baffles me.
I think they're just mad because there's not a lot of people getting the PS5. They're all resorting, well, if I just get a PC, then I don't have to worry about spending extra money buying a PS5 or an Xbox when I can just get it on, or when they can just get it on their PC, if that makes sense.
Well, so far, no PS5 game has come to PC yet. These are all PS4 games. But, yeah, I
think it's just
accessibility.
It's just an exclusive thing. It's just, they were happy, haha, we're the only ones who have it. Screw all you guys. And then other people start getting it, wait, no.
It's not supposed to work that way.
I want to be the only one who has it. Yeah, I want to be the only one who has it.
Yeah. And it's one thing to say, It's one thing to say bring it over to Xbox. Then I would understand. You know, if they said Horizon Zero Dawn on Xbox, I could understand being upset. Even though, like, still, like, you know, that's not something you should really be upset about. But I would understand. But it's PC. Like, literally all Xbox games are on PC now. All of them. Well, I mean, you know, from first party at least. And so it's like, why are PlayStation... It's so dumb. But also, that made me think of another thing, too, which is timed exclusivity, right, that we see PlayStation do a lot. Microsoft, on the other hand, doesn't do timed exclusivity. In terms of first party, they recently did it with Yakuza Like a Dragon, but they, well, I don't know, because because they're kind of walking back on that, and so I'm curious to see what happens with Bethesda, because back in 2016, with Rise of the Tomb Raider, it was a huge deal, because they did timed exclusivity, and people were pissed. And so Phil Spencer was like, okay, fine, no more timed exclusivity. But here we see they did this deal with Yakuza, which was much shorter. It was, 3 months, 4 months? And, you know, it still came to PS4. It was just the next-gen version had timed exclusivity. And so that was obviously a lot smaller in scale. But I'm curious because a lot of people have thrown out, oh, well, what if Bethesda games are timed exclusive? Which would make a lot of sense. But also, they've pissed off a lot of people for that. I don't think that people have a right to be upset, though. Like, I don't think that's something you should be upset about. But Xbox has said in the past that they're not doing timed exclusivity anymore. So I would say that is less likely on the list of avenues they would take, but not out of the question, especially since we are in a new generation. You know, they're trying to think business, because Xbox, I don't think they necessarily talk about it. You know, obviously they aren't going to talk about it, but Xbox has lost a lot of money this past generation. The Xbox One, overall, like, I think when you compare it to the Nintendo Switch and the PS4, it didn't sell super well. But in terms of, like, comparing it to overall, it didn't sell terribly, but obviously below expectations. And then they straight up admit they're losing money on Game Pass. Like, they're not making money off of it. They're losing money, right? And so they're just trying to get people into this ecosystem. But Xbox has been operating at a loss for pretty much the entire generation, I would assume. So, you know, they do need to start making some good business decisions.
Yeah, I mean, with the Game Pass, didn't they try to, like, was it the Game Pass that they tried to jump the price up to, or was that Xbox?
That was Xbox Live. Yeah.
That was Live? Okay.
That was Live, which was dumb. And yeah, they immediately reversed it because everybody lost their minds.
That was...
Yeah. Because, I mean, essentially it was like, hey, you know, if you're not paying $15 for Game Pass, we're going to make you pay $10 for this. So you basically want to get Game Pass, which was cheap. That was a cheap move. That was a low blow. And so, yeah, they quickly reversed that. But, you know, yeah, I mean, at this point, like, I know there are people out there that see Game Pass and they're like, not for me. Crazy people. But, you know, they do that and they just run with Xbox Live. But it's like, at this point, like, because there was talks with the Series X about, are they just going to kill Xbox Live and just do Game Pass Ultimate and that's it? And they said, no, we're not going to do that. But, like, just do it. Like, just get rid of it. Like, at this point, you need you need game. If you have an Xbox, you need Game Pass, because you essentially don't have to buy games. You really don't. I mean, the occasional third party, but, you know, all your games are on Game Pass. And, like, there's so much third-party support. Like, the amount of games on Game Pass that launch that are third-party, like Cyber Shadow. Cyber Shadow was published by Yacht Club Games. No Xbox involvement whatsoever. It came to Game Pass day one. That's how I played it. Awesome game. And, you know, plenty of other games. You know, typically they're smaller. I don't think we've really had any big scale. I'd say the medium. It's not necessarily a AAA experience, but again, third-party. Came to Xbox Game Pass day one, and it's like, so it has a lot of support and it's entirely worth your money. And if you don't have Game Pass, if you have an Xbox and you don't have Game Pass, you're stupid. So just don't even need to sugarcoat it there. You're stupid. But speaking of Game Pass, they also, one of the things they announced is that we are getting some more Game Pass games through Bethesda later this week. Maybe even by the time this podcast goes up. Who knows? But we're supposed to get some. I'm very curious to see, what we're getting. In terms of newer Bethesda games, we've kind of gotten a lot of them on Game Pass at one point or another. So I'm curious if we're going to see those returning, or if they're going to bring some other stuff from, like, the back catalog. Personally, and
You know what I'm curious about?
What's that?
Do you think they'll try to save Fallout 76 by putting it on Game Pass?
I think it's already on Game Pass. Honestly, it was at one point. I don't know if it still is, but I think it's on Game Pass. And if it's not, then for sure, yes. Like, because, so I didn't believe this when I first heard about it, but there's actually a dedicated Fallout 76 community. Like, there is actually a fan base to this. Yeah, like, it's basically, I mean, I don't think it's at No Man's Sky levels yet, but, like, there's a group of people that will religiously play Fallout 76, and they keep pumping it with content, and, because it's done a massive change from where it used to be. Like, they've added NPCs, they've added quest lines and all that sort of stuff. It's a massively different game. Like I said, I don't think it's where... Yeah, I don't think it's where it needs to be right now, but it's come a long way, and I think if they continue to support it, it could pull a No Man's Sky. But yeah, there are people that actually play that game. I'm actually scrolling through Game Pass right now to see if it's on there. But
I think it is. I'm seeing articles all the way back from 2020 say it's coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. So, but Fallout 4 used to be on Game Pass. It's no longer on there. So I could see them bringing Fallout back on there. I believe Elder Scrolls is still on there. It was at one point. Actually, it's not. So I could see them bringing back Skyrim Special Edition to Game Pass. I know that Dishonored 2 just left, so pretty recently, so I could see them bringing that back. But yeah, I would just love to see these, big series come back, like Evil Within 1 and 2. I'd love to see that on Game Pass. Dishonored 1 and 2. Prey was on Game Pass, I think. Actually, no, it wasn't. So I'd love to see Prey on Game Pass, because I remember I wanted to jump into it again, because I played it one time, didn't really like it. I just wasn't getting into it. It wasn't for me. But I wanted to jump back in because I thought there were some really cool aspects of it. So I would love to be able to play Prey. But like I said, the back stuff, like Fallout 3, New Vegas, what else from Bethesda? I'm trying to think, like Machine games. I mean, both the Wolfenstein games. I don't remember 2 used to be on there. I don't know if 2 is still on it, and I'm not going to look through all of them. But yeah, there's plenty of Bethesda games that could be coming. So yeah, excited to see that. But eventually, it's safe to say eventually all of them will be on Game Pass. But to finish this discussion off, I'd also like to say there's the possibility, Xbox essentially owns all of Bethesda's IPs now. And if they wanted, they could have other devs working on stuff. They could have Obsidian working on a Fallout game, for instance, Maybe New Vegas too. So here's my hot take.
You hope so. We all hope.
Here's my hot take. I think that Bethesda, they're working on Starfield. Hopefully it's almost done, but they'll probably support it, with DLC and that sort of stuff. Like it's probably got a good amount of life left in it before they really get into big production on Elder Scrolls 6. I've heard people be like, "Hey, outsource Elder Scrolls 6." I don't think it's gonna happen. But I think Bethesda could hand over the Fallout IP to Obsidian, not just for New Vegas 2, although I could easily see that, but just have Obsidian make Fallout 5. Because, Bethesda doesn't, because they're working on a ton of stuff, and their video games take a long time. It's worth it in the end. They make great games, but they take a long time. So it could easily be 10 years before we see another Fallout game from them. Which, we did get 4 and 76 and all that, which, we can time. But, it's a long time before they'll be able to make a Fallout game. So just give it to Obsidian. And, again, I think it's equally likely whether we could see New Vegas 2 or just a straight-up Fallout 5. But hand it over to Obsidian. Because right now, they're still making DLC for Outer Wilds. But we don't know what they're working on. my guess, honestly, I bet they're in pre-production / maybe even full production for an Outer Worlds sequel. But, depending on how far along that is, if it's not far along, they could shelve it and start working on Fallout. Or they could work on it, release it, after they're done with that, start working on Fallout. Just saying. I think that's going to happen.
This is all possible, yes.
Yeah, so that's my big thing. But also, I mean, they've got In Exile. They're working on a ton of different RPGs. They're essentially the home for Western RPGs right now. Like, they own pretty much every Western RPG studio out there right now. The Xbox is, they've got all of that. I mean, I'm trying to think. Let me actually pull up all of the studios that Xbox now owns and how many of those are RPGs. So we've got 343, which is Halo. We've got Alpha Dog Games, which I guess, that's one of the ZeniMax ones, which is a mobile game developer. We've got Arcane Studios, which is Deathloop. Bethesda Game Studios, Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and all that. The Coalition, which is Gears. Compulsion Games, which their last game was We Happy Few in 2018. Meaning, and we'll talk about this later, I heavily suspect we're getting a game from them this year. But nothing has been announced. But Compulsion Games, so they're kind of like an adventure game studio. We got Double Fine, which is working on Psychonauts 2. id Software, so they're currently working on Doom Eternal DLC and presumably starting work on Doom 3. I don't expect that to be incorrect. We've got The Initiative, which is working on the Perfect Dark game, which is sort of an RPG. So I would imagine that's what they're doing. It's kind of FPS RPG-ish. We're not exactly sure what that's going to look like yet. We got In Exile, which, like I said, they're working on the Wasteland series, but I think, if I remember right, they have 2 big RPGs in development, one of which we have no clue about, but the second one, one of which is being made in the Unreal Engine 5, so super new tech, but the other one, or it could be the Unreal Engine 5 one, I don't know, but I think one of them, and this is my hot take, I think one of them is making a Star Wars RPG because of the one thing a few weeks ago where they're like, yeah, someone's making a Star Wars game and you're never going to expect who it is. They're not a household name. Because In Exile, I think, is the perfect candidate because most people don't know who In Exile are. Like, they're kind of under the radar in terms of, like, big, mega, like, they're not, like, Ubisoft or EA or anything like that. Nobody that anybody would expect, so I think one of the RPGs they're working on is Star Wars, which makes sense because they're working on 2 big RPGs at the same time, like they're one studio. So it doesn't make any sense. But it would make sense if somebody with a license reached out and said, hey, you want to make a game? Because if someone reaches out and says, hey, you want to make a Star Wars game, you're going to say yes. Yeah,
you don't say no.
Exactly. So that's my guess. But then they got Machine Games, which they're currently working on the Indiana Jones game. Another.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's FPS, I guess, maybe? We're not 100% sure what that'll be like. Got Mojang.
I read somewhere where people think that Indiana Jones game is just going to be like Nathan Drake kind of Uncharted style is what people are thinking it's going to be like.
My guess is it's going to be a mix of Wolfenstein and Tomb Raider / Uncharted. I think it's going to go somewhere in the middle. I think it's going to be kind of like a third-person action-adventure shooter-y type of thing. Somewhere in the middle there.
I can see that.
But, yeah, like I said, we got Mojang for Minecraft. We've got Ninja Theory, which is working on Hellblade, and what's the other one? Project Mara. I think another game. I don't know. They're working on a ton of stuff over there. We've got Obsidian, which is working on Grounded and Outer Worlds DLC, and Avowed, which I'm super, super excited for. So, big RPG studio, like we've said. Then we got Playground Games. We're still going here. Which is currently making the Fable reboot, another Western RPG. We've got Rare, which is currently continuing to support Sea of Thieves. So we still don't know what's coming up from them. So they could have something up their sleeves. Actually, no, that's a lie. They're working on Everwild. I forgot about that. So that's another. I don't know if I want to say RPG. I can't remember what they classified that game as. I don't think it's an RPG. I think it's just a little adventure game. I'm actually looking that up to clarify. Yeah, it's an adventure game, but we don't know much about that yet. I don't think it's coming really anytime soon. Maybe 2022. But then we've got Roundhouse Studios, which is, I believe, another. It's a smaller studio from Bethesda, I think. Then we got Tango Gameworks, aka Ghostwire Tokyo devs. Turn 10 Studios, that are now developing the Forza Motorsport reboot. Undead Labs, which is working on State of Decay 3. World's Edge, which is working on Age of Empires 4. Xbox Game Studios Publishing, which they basically just handle all of the publishing stuff. And ZeniMax Online Studios, aka Elder Scrolls Online. So,
Yes.
a lot of studios there. But out of all of those, we have what are the RPG studios? We got Bethesda Game Studios. Like I said, I don't know about Initiative, if I would classify that as an RPG studio or not. In Exile, Obsidian, Playground, Undead Labs. I mean, you've got a ton of RPG. I mean, even ZeniMax Online. Like, yes, I know they're MMO RPGs, but it's still an RPG. So you've got a ton of RPG studios, big like AAA RPG studios, all under the first party. And so you've got a lot of stuff, and you've got a lot of, room to work with. And Bethesda's got a lot on their plate. They own a lot of beloved RPGs. Like, I could even see, maybe Machine Games passing off Wolfenstein to another developer. Like, maybe they spawn another team off of 343 or the Coalition, maybe, and they work on a Wolfenstein game. That would be really interesting. They've got a lot of stuff. Like, what I would do if they outsourced, like, Dishonored 3. Just somebody make Dishonored 3. I gotta think about who would be good for that.
I would be so happy if they made a Dishonored 3.
Now I gotta think about this. Who would be a good fit for Dishonored 3? I'm re-looking through the studios here. I don't know who would be good for that. Honestly, low-key, I just want it with Arcane still. But
yeah,
I think Tango would be interesting. I know they were still with Bethesda, but I think Tango, because before Ghostwire they made the Evil Within games, and so I think because Dishonored has a kind of creepy vibe. That's not like straight horror, but I think aesthetically Tango would be an interesting choice. But also, now that I'm thinking about it, Undead Labs might be a kind of interesting. Like, I would like to see Undead Labs' take on Dishonored, because they're the State of Decay devs, and so I think it would be a very different game that would like maintain the core of it, but have a very different feel, and I'd be interested to see what they would do with that IP. But yeah, they have so many more resources, and again, this is the sort of thing of like we've had this discussion. Like, I saw an interview between Ryan McCaffrey and Tim Schafer of Double Fine, where he was basically asking, what, like, being acquired by Xbox, what sort of property would you like to take? And he was like, I'd rather just kind of make my own game. And so I can understand that, like, wanting to, create your own IP and you have your own ideas. But also, like, I know me, like, if I were working at like Undead Labs, right? And we get acquired by Xbox, and then Xbox buys Bethesda. Like, just the sheer thought at being able to handle like a Doom or a Wolfenstein or hell, a Fallout, like just the possibility, I'll be like, oh, give it to me. And so, I could see both sides. But anyway, long tangent aside. Working with other Xbox devs, that could happen now.
What a tangent.
Yeah, and so we'll see that happens there. Trace, do you have any thoughts about this Bethesda acquisition? Any secret desires?
No, not really.
All right. Very interesting commentary from you. Always glad to have you here.
I mean, I guess it just depends because, like you were talking, if you were to get your hands on like a Fallout game or a game like that, I mean, it would just be fun to like add your own little creations to it.
For sure. And I mean, we've technically seen that with Bethesda before with New Vegas, right? When they outsourced it to Obsidian, and that was an amazing game just to see.
Yeah, everybody loves it. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, it retained the core spirit of Fallout, but it had a very different tone, and it it does set itself apart from the rest of the franchise, but it's still very much a Fallout game. And so, like I said, and I'm all for, creators being able to be creative and express their creations, but I also think that, Obsidian kind of proved that you can still do that with someone else's IP because it is a very unique game in the Fallout franchise. And so I'm hoping that Bethesda does that. I'm hoping Bethesda opens up their arms and, lets the Xbox portfolio pick some IPs and, give them the light of day. Like, I could see them outsourcing, like Arcane outsourcing Prey 2, because that had a pretty dedicated, like, I feel like it was somewhat of a success.
I could see that one.
And
yeah, I could see.
They're working on Deathloop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could see us, getting, because I feel like Prey was relatively successful. Maybe outsourcing for Prey 2. Maybe the Initiative's next project after Perfect Dark. Who knows? But yeah, so let's get into the gaming news for this week, where we got some information. The director of program management, Jason Ronald, has made it very clear that there are unannounced Xbox games scheduled for release in 2021. So he was on a podcast episode about the Xbox Series X and S, the Iron Lords podcast, and he was asked what game he was most looking forward to in the year ahead, to which he replied, "Not all games that are releasing this year have been announced." So, maybe, just maybe, he has a friend who's another friend of some developer overseas, but he's the director of program management at Xbox. I feel like he's referencing an Xbox game. So, not only is he saying, there are more games, but this is a game that he's most excited for in the year ahead. So people have been running wild about what this game might be. Like I said, Compulsion Games has not released a game for going on 3 years now. I think that is the easiest choice to make. However, and no disrespect to Compulsion, they don't necessarily have the resources for a huge budget game. And again, this might be a really interesting idea. Like, We Happy Few was a really, really creative idea and a very interesting and unique game, in contrast before that. So this could easily be what he's talking about. But again, with him saying the game he's most anticipated about, it's like who? Like, because even with, these bigger devs of Xbox's, portfolio, they've all been announced, right? Like, even Starfield, it's been announced. Like, we know it's coming. And, like, Fable and State of Decay 3 and all this other stuff, unless he was just being dumb about how he worded things, where he says not all games that are releasing this year have been announced. I mean, technically that could mean not all games releasing this year have been announced to release this year, which could include Starfield, State of Decay 3, hell, Avowed, that's not coming this year, but like any other game that just didn't get a release date, that could technically include that. But I feel like at this point, if we were wrong about how we were implying things, because people have been talking about this all over the internet, I feel like he would have clarified. Or maybe he just knows that he's in deep doo-doo now, and he's just not saying anything. I don't know. He's
in trouble.
But, yeah. So, I mean, I don't think this is anything we're going to find out anytime soon. Xbox marketing boss Aaron Greenberg said at the start of the month that there was, quote, nothing coming soon with regards to major game announcement events. So whatever's coming is not coming soon. So
Yeah, it's late 2021.
Yeah. Holiday season, I think, is going to be interesting.
If he was telling the truth.
If he was
correct.
telling the truth. Yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, so Xbox apparently still has unannounced games coming in 2021. Then, sad news for me, happy news for the Japanese. Super Nintendo World Japan is opening this month, specifically in 1 week, March 18th. So I was very sad when this got announced. Originally, when they were supposed to open, I don't remember when they were supposed to open originally. I think it was sometime in February, but then it got delayed because of COVID, I think. And actually, I think there was like some theft. Like, I think someone broke in and stole some stuff from the amusement park, I heard. I don't know if that's accurate, but yeah, I heard that somebody got in and robbed the place. They like stole some of the Nintendo accessories and stuff. It was funny, but well, not funny, but you know. But yeah,
It's a little funny.
yeah. But when it got delayed, I was like, oh, bet. Maybe it can be delayed to, like, after COVID, and I can go to the opening, because I totally want to go to the opening, because I've always wanted to go to Tokyo and, like, just go to Japan, and, like, this is my excuse to go to the grand opening. But then they're like, nope, it's next week. And I was like, dang it. So, I hope you guys enjoy it, and don't get COVID, be safe, so that I can go there as soon as possible, because it looks so cool. Because we also got some information that the Florida one, I think is where they're building the U.S. one, is supposedly delayed for 2 years. So we're not getting one anytime soon. And so I just want to go to Japan now. That's all I want. They seem to be handling stuff a lot better over there anyway. So, you know, just trying to go to Japan. If anybody's got the hookup, let me know. Because I'm just trying to play real life Mario Kart, man. I'm just trying to use the warp pipes and
that'd be
stuff.
so cool.
But yeah, it's coming out March 18th. All you Japanese people, enjoy. Since I can't. Secondly, some interesting news. This is thirdly, I can't count. Diablo 2 Resurrected players. If you somehow still have your 20-year-old save file from Diablo 2 on that PC that you definitely don't use anymore, because there's no way it has survived that long, you can import them. So, you know, if you're like, I'm going to need these someday. So, like, if you backed up your save files onto a flash drive or a floppy disk somewhere, you know, you can still use them. You can import your save. So, if you somehow still have access to your Diablo 2 player, you can plug that right into Resurrected and have at it. Which, man, I didn't think that was possible. But, yeah. That's a thing. But yeah. So I'm really excited about this game in general because I've heard very good things about Diablo 2. But
how would that even be possible? That was 21 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a very fat minute, and like I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, then how much the code has changed, because they have to have some sort of implementation going on there to allow the code to be. Although, I imagine what happens is it reads the code, recognizes it as like legacy data, and will then, you know, transfer it over to the latest version. I imagine it's something like that. But again, how many people? I'm just curious to see how many people still have these save files. Like, how many people? Because it's at one point you're like, I've had my fill, and you just like, you know, you uninstall a game and you just, you know, you get it, and it's like, you can't tell me somebody hasn't upgraded. Like, there's one person out there that has not upgraded their PC in the last 20 years, and so it's like, man, I bet you got a lot of angry Diablo 2 diehards out there that are angry at themselves for getting rid of their old PC, and they're like, dang it, I could have had my rogue! Go! Oh! But who knows? So, you know. But yeah. So you can do that. To the three of you who can, congrats. Then next up, we have some job shifting. the Hogwarts Legacy lead designer has quit following a YouTube controversy. So essentially what happened is some people dug into this guy's YouTube channel and found out basically he had previously uploaded a number of videos in the past that, among other subjects, expressed support for the Gamergate movement and downplayed high-profile cases of sexual harassment. And so, not the best social figure. And so, yeah, that broke. He got called out. And I believe, because I heard about the story a little while ago, yeah, it was his decision. So he wasn't fired. He wasn't let go. He resigned. Basically is distancing himself from the project, which is, you know, despite his actions in the past, it is respectable at least of him to, you know, step down from the role, not wanting to tarnish the...
How nice of him.
Yeah, not wanting to tarnish the reputation of the game, which, to be fair, already has not the best reputation, just being involved with J.K. Rowling in any fashion. Even though it's not, like, to be clear, they have very little involvement with J.K. Rowling, but even just having the Harry Potter license at this point can be kind of detrimental where we're at now in 2021. And so, as much as I love Harry Potter, you know, there's issues. And so, you know, this game has kind of had a hill to go up of, you know, trying to prove... I mean, they came out, I think, last week and announced that you could play basically as a transgender. Like, they weren't going to have standard, like, male-female options and that, so like both those, so it was opening up the doors for transgender despite J.K. Rowling's transphobic views. So they seem to be doing the best they can to, you know, not use any of the controversial things that J.K. Rowling is known for, and just be a love letter to the work that she created. But yeah, so yeah, he is.
I hope it's a good game.
Me too. I'm so excited for it. I'm
very
disappointed.
Excited for that.
I was very disappointed to see it delayed into next year, but I'm just hoping, you know, comes out and kills it. And then finally, something that we it broke before I filmed last week's episode, but I wanted to save it for this week because this is really, really big news that a lot of people are talking about. So it hasn't been confirmed, but this is a very reliable leak that we're getting a new Nintendo Switch with a larger screen and a 4K output. So, yeah, so they are allegedly set to reveal a new model with a bigger Samsung OLED display later this year that will be able to output 4K ultra-high definition graphics when in docked mode. Now, however, this 7-inch display will remain at 720p, with an initial monthly target of under 1 million units. And then these displays are supposedly being sent to assemblers in July. So it's supposed to hit this fall, which is... There's a whole lot to say about this. So I watched Digital Foundry's video where they talked about this, among other things. And so they are basically saying this is not the Switch Pro that everyone is clamoring for, right? That this is basically going to contain very much the same hardware. It's going to be similar to like the battery boost, where it's like, you know, it's going to upscale to 4K, but it's going to be running pretty much the same thing. Very, you know, it's just going to look nicer, that sort of deal. It's just not going to be the Switch Pro that everyone's expecting. That's what they predict, right? And just another thing before we get into all that, it's coming out this fall? Like, why? Like, they had the perfect moment, like, celebrate the 5th anniversary of the Switch, come out in the spring, because, I mean, and these things are planned way ahead of time, so I think part of it is just them not knowing, but I feel like this fall will kind of be like the relaunch of the PS5 and Series X and S, since the availability just isn't there right now. I feel like this fall will be the big push of, like, it's going to be the time where we first see them actually in stores, and you'll actually be able to get them there, and you'll see this push, and we'll actually get that true availability that should have happened, you know, last fall, but because of COVID, just hasn't happened yet. And so I think we're going to see this relaunch, and so I think, you know, they're going to sell a lot of PS5s and Xboxes in the fall. And so for Nintendo to just kind of jump in here and be like, hey, we have something too. There's a reason they stayed out of it last year. Why do it this year? It just doesn't make sense to me. Just push it to the spring, and then you can be like, hey, 5-year anniversary, and here's Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime Trilogy, and here's a trailer and you get a special demo for Metroid Prime 4, and here you go. That'd be awesome. But, yeah, but what are your thoughts, Justin, about this new Switch?
I honestly don't know. Like, yeah, that doesn't really make sense that it would release in the fall. I mean, I don't know. Cool if it releases. I guess that's cool. I mean, I want to get a new Switch, so I mean, if it would release, I'd probably get it. But yeah, that's just confusing as to why. I mean, maybe the rumors aren't true. Maybe it'll come later. Who knows? Yeah, it's just weird.
So my question to you, Justin, then is, if it turns out like some people are predicting, that this has no real graphical upgrade, it just has a nicer screen and it can upscale to 4K, are you still getting it? Does that still warrant your $300, potentially more dollars?
Actually, yeah, probably not. I mean, if they come out and they say, "Hey, it is graphically much better than the original Switch," then I mean, yeah, I'd get it. But yeah, if it's only going to be like a bigger screen, then there's really no point.
Yeah, and that's kind of like when Digital Foundry and there are multiple other people saying this and predicting this. When they said this, it's like, man, it made my heart sink, because I just want an excuse to get a new Switch. My baby's, I mean, I haven't had any genuine issues with it, and like, it's been doing fine, but also, like, I want to be able to play better games on the go. I don't know, like, not better games in terms of quality, but like higher quality games. I want to be able, like, to play, I don't know, what's a big, like, Resident Evil Village. I want to be able to play that on the go. Like, that'd be so cool, dude.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be so cool. And it's like, the hardware is so limiting, and people are like, oh, well, games run so well. That's a lie. I came out with okay, compared to other games, yes. But the hardware is starting to chug. And the prime example of this is Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. Because I did a full review on this. Go check it out, Panda Master. Good stuff. And in that, I talked about the performance, where, I referenced Digital Foundry's review, where specifically the Bowser's Fury section of the game doesn't actually, if I remember correctly, what does it do? Oh, so it runs at a dynamic resolution on docked. So it's typically from 720p to 1080. It's running at a dynamic. It can't hit 1080p natively. And then when you're on docked mode, it's running at native 720, but it's only at 30 FPS. It's, I think, the first time a first-party Switch game has ever, like, made something 720p 30 versus 60. They've always went for performance. I think it's one of the first times they've ever went 30 FPS docked. Usually they compromise the fidelity versus performance, but they went 720p 30. And even, like, when there are times, basically, when, like, Bowser's out and there's a lot of chaos going on, the frame starts to drip a little bit, or drop a little bit. And so, we're seeing performance issues. Nothing too severe, especially compared to, PlayStation and Xbox. We've seen much more severe cases in their lanes. But we have indications that the hardware is becoming too much, even for first-party Nintendo games. And so I think there's reason for a refresh. Business speaking, there's not. Like, the Switch is continuing to sell for hotcakes. It's been the top-selling console for, I think, 26 months straight now. That's over 2 years. Number one best-selling console every single month. So there's no reason for them to come out with it, financially speaking. But in terms of game developers' visions and just being able to continue to innovate in the space, it needs a refresh for that. And so, yeah, I want the Switch Pro. I hope that this is actually a Switch Pro and not, but we are getting hope. It seems we're getting some sort of new Switch, and that could be the one that you pick up, Trace. So you can finally get a Switch.
Man, can you stop dogging on me about that Switch thing? I don't have the money for it, number one.
I'm telling you, dude.
And number two,
use your bull
Switch
ride money.
You're missing out.
Use your bull ride money.
You're missing out.
It just doesn't like grab my attention. I'd rather be on a PC or a PS4 or something.
But think about this, Trace. You're getting ready. You're riding a bull. You're like,
Yeah,
man,
no,
I want
I'm
to play
not
my
gonna-
Nintendo Switch
No.
and just be riding your bull,
While
playing some Mario, and just like having the
You could be
time of
one
your
of, like-
life.
I've never seen this. You could be one of like the first ever bull riders to play the Switch at the same time.
They
That's
could
not
call
gonna
you.
happen.
They could call you the Bull Rider Gamer. You'd be the
That's
first.
not
Oh.
gonna happen.
You would be a
Oh.
legend, Trace. You'd be a legend.
You could be sponsored by Nintendo themselves.
Exactly. They could like dress up the bull like Mario or like a Goomba. You could like ride a Goomba.
I'd
That'd
just
be
get
sick.
clowned on. I would just get clowned on.
Nah, that'd be sick, dude. You're gonna be a Bull Rider Gamer. We're gonna talk to Nintendo about it. Justin and I, we're gonna make some calls.
I think,
We're gonna get this figured out.
I'm gonna send some emails right now.
Yeah. We'll get this going.
Have
So.
fun with that one. If
Yeah.
you can get Nintendo to sponsor me, and if you can get them to send me a Switch, then I'll do it.
All right,
But
Nintendo, you heard it here first. We have confirmation that Trace
All right,
Griffiths will be the Bull
Nintendo.
Rider Gamer.
But first,
He
they
will
have
be
to
your
send me
Bull
the
Rider
Switch.
Gamer.
They have to send me a patch so I can put them on my vest or on my flannel, and they have to send me some games before I ever do it.
That's a hefty request, but we'll make it
But-
happen.
But if they can do that, if they
I
can do
will
it, I will do it.
communicate with my guy at Nintendo, and I'll get back to you.
I'll communicate with my uncle who works at Nintendo and told me that
I was just
that we're
I was just
getting
gonna say my dad works at Nintendo.
my uncle's brother's dog works at Nintendo and told me that we're getting Bayonetta 4 this year. But with that, we'll get into the games coming this week, which we've got some games. Today
Yeah, they're there.
we've got Trace's second most anticipated game after the Monster Truck Steel Jam thing, whatever that came out last week. Monster Energy Supercross 4. For
Dude,
PS
I'm actually excited for that. I'm sorry, but I'm so excited
I knew it.
for that one.
I knew it. I know the games you like, Trace. Monster Energy Supercross 4 for PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. It's out today. Cross is super again. The official video game of the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship is back with its 4th edition, the most extreme ever. Now, if that doesn't scream Game of the Year, I don't know what does.
I wish I would have had my camera on. I stood up in my chair and I started like dancing when when I heard the name.
Hearing you describe it, I have just purchased it. It is. I'm gonna go play it right after this.
I'm
Just
actually
that description right there.
I've actually been playing it this entire time because I can't
You have?
keep my eyes off of the screen. I
Really?
can't not play it. It's just so good. It's so good. 10
Wait,
out of 10.
It's so
if exactly
extreme.
if it's exactly what I think it is, then I'm pretty sure I've already talked to my dad about getting it. If it is what I think it is.
Mr. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this game. Wait, if it's the one I think it is.
No, it definitely is. I've already talked to my dad about getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already talked to my dad about getting that one.
Yep. Well, there you go. Well, it's out. Then, tomorrow, we've got Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time for PS5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch. We've got the next-gen versions and the last-gen that's not last-gen version. Neo Cortex and Entropy are back at it again and launching an all-out assault on not just this universe, but the entire multiverse. Crash and Coco are here to save the day by reuniting the 4 quantum masks and bending the rules of reality. If you want a tough-as-nails 3D platformer with a heck of a lot of charm and awesome next-gen features, except if you play on Switch, this is the game for you. It got really good reviews, so I'm excited about this. I might pick it up because I never got the chance to play it when it originally released. So
Sounds fun.
yeah, I might pick it up on PS5.
I'm still picking up Monster Energy Supercross 4. Just have to throw that out there.
You just got coconut mauled.
You just got coconut mauled. Send this to all your friends.
So they can get coconut mauled. I just saw one. They're doing one off of another map. It's the one from, well, it's another Mario Kart Wii one. I forget which one it was. But they're expanding now. They're doing other maps.
I like the WandaVision. You just got Jimmy Woo.
You just got Jimmy Woo.
You seen that one?
Yeah. I love the Jimmy Woo rap. But
Yes, the Jimmy Woo.
my boy Jimmy Woo. Let's go. There's actually a guy who submitted a pitch to Disney about a Jimmy Woo TV show. I don't know how that went, but maybe.
I think I saw that.
Yeah. But on Tuesday, we got Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning for Nintendo Switch. So we're finally getting the Switch version of this remaster. The hit RPG returns from the minds of the best-selling author R.A. Salvatore, Spawn creator Ted McFarlane, and Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion lead designer Ken Rolston. Comes Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Remastered with stunning visuals and refined gameplay, Re-Reckoning delivers intense, customizable RPG combat inside a sprawling game world. So, I actually played this game originally when it came out. It's actually a really fun game. It's a really cool Western RPG that's kind of like a mix of Dragon Age and Elder Scrolls. But, yeah, it's really fun. So, if you're looking for a new RPG to play on your Switch, you can on Tuesday. Also on Tuesday, we've got not MLB, it's RBI Baseball 21 for PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Play your way. RBI Baseball 21 brings incredible new features to this fast-paced arcade baseball franchise, including creative player, play-by-play commentary, and immersive time of day. Step up to the plate, crush home runs, and take your club to a World Series title.
Wow.
So, yeah, baseball game. Cool. Anyway.
Ooh, next.
Next. So, on to the off-hour segment. I, of course, have been playing Valheim because I love Valheim so much. I think I've... What?
I've heard a lot about Valheim, but I haven't talked to somebody who's actually played it. Is it as fun as people say it is?
Yes.
And what's so special about it that's different from like all the other survival crafting games?
Okay. So, I will say yes, but under the condition, I think it can be fun played solo, but it's another one that's like, it's definitely a lot more fun if you play with friends, right? And so, you gotta have the friends to play together. But the thing that makes it so special and unique is that it's a soft-core survival game, but not, like, easy. Like, there are definitely really challenging moments. Like, the other day, Bako, Matt, and I fought the second boss, the Elder, who kicked the living shit out of us. Oh my god. It took us, like, a full, like, 24 hours in-game. Like, not actual 24 hours, but, like, it took us, like, a full day to beat this boss because he was just pummeling us over and over and over and over again, and we would just get absolutely coconut mauled, and it was just nuts. But it was so difficult. But the thing is so the hunger system in the game is not like you get hungry and then you lose health. So basically you have a max health that is determined by how much you eat. So if you eat like more full foods like meat or meals and stuff like that, it will increase your max health.
No more vegan teacher. Get out of here.
Exactly. We don't mess with vegan teacher. Get her out of here.
Yeah, get that vegan teacher out of here.
But so it increases your max health, right? And so you don't get hungry, and like if you have nothing in your stomach, you don't suffer from it. It's just your max health is like 25. And so the more you eat, which you can only eat a certain amount at one time, the higher your max health will be. And then also when you die, you can go like recover your items, but basically, and this is my favorite part. it has the Skyrim progression system. So things get better as you use them. And it makes me so happy because nobody does this system and it's so good. And so if you want to be better with axes, you just use them. And then you gradually get better as you rank up and you get your skills better.
Okay. Yeah,
It's-
that's good. No, I knew that. I saw a video of somebody playing it, and like the first thing they did was jump, and it immediately went jump increase stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, as you use, and then when you die, you lose 5% of your skills. But then it also has a grace period.
Gotcha.
So like if you die multiple times, like so after you die for a certain period of time, there's no skill drain. So again, like when we were getting bodied by that
that's
elder,
nice.
we didn't like lose like basically reset all our skills. But you lose 5% when you die. So there is an urgency of like don't die, but also like I said, there is a lot of skill to it in terms of progressing and getting further on. Like we just recently discovered the swamp biome, and there's a lot of things in there that can poison you, and it is scary, but it also has a lot of really good loot. And so like just the term of discovery. Also, everything's procedurally generated like Minecraft, but there's like dungeons and burial chambers and like swamp dungeons and all these different types of enemies. Like you've got skeletons and necks and trolls, which I used to think, and like just the sense of progression. Like when I first started the game, there's this place called the Black Forest where you get trolls and like all these things, and trolls are terrifying and they can almost one-shot you. Like at the beginning of the game they can one-shot you, and like they are terrifying. And now fast forward like 2 weeks later, like now I'm out here, I see a troll, I'm like, alright, come at me, bro. Block his ass, like chop him into pieces, and I wear his skin on me now. Like I don't care at all. Trolls don't mean jack squat no more. But it's like those trolls are big as hell and super intimidating. But now it's like, but you still do have to be careful because a troll can like two-shot you, like still, even where you're at. And so also the combat system is really freaking good. It feels super fluid. It feels super nice. It's not too complex, but it's also like it's got some depth to it in terms of like you can. It's got a parry system, and it's got like a roll system and dodge, and everything's tied to stamina, which also increases based on what you eat. And you can even
can you
like
beat the game?
So in a sense, yes, not technically now because it's in early access. So there are going to be a total of 9 bosses in the game, and 5 of them are currently available via early access, which is nuts because I've played the game for 40 hours, and I just mentioned that we just beat the second boss
Yeah.
after 40 hours.
I would laugh after like beat this like the last boss, since the whole meme you just got coconut mauled. I would laugh if like right as you beat it and as like the credits were going by, at the end it just smacks, you just got coconut mauled.
Just spawns like a world tall troll that just stomps on you.
Yeah.
Just takes a big old poop on your face and crushes you.
Just
Yes.
steps on you. Like one of the zombies maps. Just
Yeah.
get stepped on.
I mean, if the troll was a girl, then I'd be like, yes. But if it's a guy, no.
That's
Uh,
sexist. That's sexist.
That's not sexist. That's me respecting women's and saying women are beautiful. Happy late International Women's Day, women, and happy Women's History Month.
If it was Giant Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil.
Hey, there's a reason why Resident Evil Village is my most anticipated game of 2021, and that certainly is one of them.
Whammon.
Whammon. But anyway,
Whammon.
so yeah, I've been playing some Valheim. I think I'm winding down on it, but also I have Bakel and Matt to remind me of playing and all that, so I don't think I'm necessarily done with it yet. But I've been playing some Hitman 3, and it's so fun, just coming up with wacky ways to kill people. It's a great time. I'm loving it.
I heard it. I saw it got good reviews.
Yeah, I haven't tried out the VR mode yet. I honestly have just really been avoiding using my PlayStation VR because it's such a hassle to get set up. But I do want to try out the VR mode.
Whammon.
And then I'm taking this point to say once again, I haven't said it on the podcast yet, but everybody needs to go watch Raya and the Last Dragon immediately, because it is one of the best films made in a very long time, and it's so good, and it made me cry, and it's amazing.
Okay, that's what yeah, no. I see you tweeting about it. And I have been super excited for this movie for a long time since like trailers first came out. I'm super excited about it. Like I keep telling like Natalie, my girlfriend, that we need to watch it, and she doesn't understand, but I really want to watch it. Um, is it worth like that extra like $30 you have to pay on Disney Plus?
I think so. So
You think so?
so here's the thing. I think so. I love movies, and I'll do all that sort of thing. I think, reasonably speaking, if you're just like not super into Disney movies, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But like, if you like the Disney movies like Moana and Frozen, and
I love
like
Moana.
those, like, well, I think especially Moana. Like, if you like Moana and like movies like that, yes, it is well worth the $30. And yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And I just like, yeah, I will shout from the rooftops, go watch Raya and the Last Dragon, because it's so, I've seen it twice. I'm trying to find, I honestly might watch it again this weekend, but it's so good.
Watch it
Because
right after this, yes.
I'm getting my $30 worth, essentially, because I spent the money.
Yeah, you got it.
Might as well get my money's worth, because I do think the $30
When is it?
is ridiculous. But
when is it off the like whole pay for exclusive access?
I think it's 3
You know
months.
how long is it?
It's 3 months.
That's
So
good.
you're essentially paying $30 to rent it for 3 months, and then it
That's
comes to
not
Disney Plus.
bad, though.
Yeah, it's not bad, but I still
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's a little steep though. I could see 20 being.
Like, I've never paid $30 for a movie ticket. However,
Yeah,
I've
that
never
is-
owned a movie for 3 months. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's basically really crappy of Disney to do, because it's technically like a reasonable value, but nobody wants to rent a movie for 3 months. Like, you're gonna watch it once, maybe twice, like a few times, and then that's it. Like, otherwise, like, if you're gonna watch it more than
Yeah.
that, you're just gonna buy it, right? Like, if you're gonna watch a movie
Yeah.
more than twice, if that's your plan, you're just gonna buy it. Like, no one wants to rent it for that long, and so it's just, it's scummy of Disney to do. Let's be honest here, but I think it's worth it for Raya and the Last Dragon. Is it worth it for Mulan? Absolutely not. That was stupid. But for Raya and the Last Dragon, it's well worth your
I didn't
money.
watch Mulan. I don't want to watch Mulan.
Mulan was an amazing movie, though. Like, you, don't get me wrong, like, the cartoon was way better, but the live action was still it was still amazing.
I refuse to even watch
I
the
won't
movie.
support it.
I won't support that shit.
Me too.
The second that the lead actress was like, yeah, no, the police are doing the good stuff with Hong Kong. No, I don't support that. So I refuse to watch it. I
It's
never
not
will.
only that, but they also to film it. They did some really really sketchy stuff over in wherever they filmed it, because we talked
Wait,
about
I
it in one of my classes where
I never heard about that. What happened?
I'm trying to remember. It was a while ago we talked about it. It was like essentially they used, if I remember correctly, they used the locals in the area without getting their permission, like in the movie, and they used them to work on the set, and they were like, "Hey, work on the set," and then they like not destroyed. They really messed up like a lot of the local area, and then they just left.
Did they
They
really?
didn't like they if they paid for it, they barely paid any money for it, and they just if I remember correctly, don't like hold me 100% to that, because it was a while ago I talked about it, but they did a lot of sketchy, unethical stuff over there.
See, I'd never heard about that, but that's
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah.
I wish I would have heard about that before I watched it.
Yeah. So, yeah, we don't like Mulan here in this house. We do not stand. But those have been my viewings and playings. Trace, what have you been doing this week?
I've been bull riding and getting ready for Saturday, which I'm going to be ended up bull riding again. I've been just hanging out with friends on Discord, talking to them, playing Valorant and GTA, and that's about it.
You spelled Valorant wrong, so you're now a fake fan.
Man, pipe down, okay? Pipe down.
Your time is over, Justin. What have you been doing?
Oh, hi. Yeah, that's me. Sorry. I'm trying to read more about Mulan stuff. But I haven't honestly been doing much in the video game world. I have finally cracked open Ghost of Tsushima, and I played, I'm not even kidding, like maybe total of 45 minutes of the game, so not a lot. Ratchet and Clank, the 2016 PS4 version, that's free on the PS4 and PS5. So I downloaded that, and it's been really fun. But I haven't been able to play video games a lot because I am in the middle of moving out, real life edition. I have moved into a new apartment, and it has been so busy and so hectic, and so I've barely been able to touch any video games. In the movie world or the TV world, I have been obsessed with Avatar: The Last Airbender. I put it off for so long. I just go, no, I don't want to watch it. Like, I'm not gonna watch it. And my girlfriend kept telling me watch it, and I finally did, and I loved it. And I binged all through it once, and now I'm going through it again. And kind of getting into Korra, but haven't really yet because I'm still really hooked on uh, the Aang crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was my biggest thing about Korra is it's like, it's okay, but it's not Aang. Like, it's not Avatar.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's my biggest issue with it. And again, like, I've heard if you stick with it, it gets better, but it's like, because I only watched the first season, and I do want to. It's like kind of like a bucket list thing, but yeah, I just, we've...
Yeah.
But we'll get to it someday. It's on Netflix, so I'll get to it. But yeah, so that wraps up our show this week. So thank y'all for watching / listening / however you've been consuming us. Appreciate you being here, and we'll be back next week for more game stuff, more discussions, more bull riding, more Nintendo sponsorships, whatever.
More Disney rants. More ranting about Disney.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Trace, that I didn't wear the hat today to do the yee, but honorary yee for that. And we're out. Adios, amigos.